Hi everybody, this is George. Welcome back to my channel. We are continuing the topic of personality development. In this, we are going to discuss about attitude is altitude, which speaks about a person called Nick Vujicic. Who is this man? What should we learn from him? What do we need to get from him? Why do we need to learn from him? We will be discussing in this session. Firstly, let us know about Nick. Who is Nick? Nick is a world famous evangelist and a motivational speaker. He was born in Melbourne, Australia. Presently he is 38 years old. His parents are Boris Vujicic, Dushka Vujicic, and he had a brother and a sister. Sister is Michael Vujicic and brother is Aaron Vujicic. Here, he was married to a girl called Kani Miyahara, and they had 4 children. Kiyoshi James Vujicic, Dejan Levi Vujicic, Olivia May Vujicic, Ellie Laurel Vujicic. These are his 4 children. So what made him to become motivational speaker? What made him to become evangelist? What made him to be great in the world? We are going to see why it is given to us in this lesson. What do we need to learn from him? We are going to see in this lesson. What is that? It is a biography of him which is published in an online magazine called Daily Mail on 1st July 2009. So what is written there? We are going to discuss here. What we need to learn from him. Understand? So apart from his disability, he could achieve a greatest achievement in his life. He could do such things. So we are going to discuss about that here in this session. So let us see firstly about, let us have a reading of the paragraph. Imagine having no arms to stretch in the morning, to help you scratch that itch, to allow you to wrap your arms around your loved ones. Imagine having no legs to pick pebbles down the street, to walk or run, to bicycle or skateboard, or get you from point A to point B. Then imagine both at once, which is what Nick Vujicic has faced in his own life. Have you heard something like this before? Imagine yourself once. Imagine having no arms to stretch in the morning. Usually what we do early in the morning when we get up, we rest our legs, we stretch our arms. If something hitches you somewhere, you simply scratch because you have the arms. to allow you wrap your arms around your loved ones. You have the arms. When you want to shake hands with somebody, you just shake. When you want to hug somebody, embrace somebody, you simply do with your arms. Imagine once. There are no arms. There are no legs. Imagine having no legs to kick pebbles down the street. What are you doing? While children, a small child going on the way by walk, on foot, what generally they do? They kick some pebbles. They kick the things that they pass by. Simply play and go. So imagine yourself. To walk, you don't have legs. To bicycle, to skateboard, to play, to run from here to there, to move from point A to point B, you don't have legs. We see number of people outside having no legs, no arms, or lacking any of the part of the body. What are they doing? We see number of people begging. But imagine once both are not there. Imagine our life. Just close your eyes and see. Imagine yourself once. There are no arms to eat, to do things, to pick things up, to catch somebody, to shake hands with somebody. So once imagine your life like that. How hard it will be. I can't imagine my life without that. Imagine your life without eyes. No, I can't imagine that. Imagine your life without legs. Imagine your life without arms. But both are at once. Just imagine. No arms, no legs. What will be your life? Where you will be? What will be your situation? That is what this man who we are discussing about, Nick Vujicic, faced throughout his life. Through 38 years, he faced in his life. That is what we are going to see, how he faced his life. What made him to become like that? Why he was like that? We are going to discuss here. So, imagine both and just imagine, just to see, and we are going to see about that person here. Nick Vujicic was born with no arms and legs, but he doesn't let the details stop him. What happened to him? He was born without arms and legs. Nick Vujicic was born with no arms and legs, but he doesn't let the details stop him. What are the details mean here? Having no arms and legs. He doesn't let the details stop him to succeed in his life, to become a motivational speaker in his life, to become an evangelist in his life. That's what, see, he doesn't let the details stop him. People we see outside saying a number of reasons. Because of my poverty, I could not succeed. Because of my laziness, I could not succeed. Because of my disability, I could not succeed. I could not do that. Otherwise, I could have done like this. But imagine this man, he has no arms and legs, but he became a motivational speaker. Famous, world famous motivational speaker. That is why the brave 26-year-old who is mainly torso. What does it mean? Torso. Limbless body. Limbs, arms and legs. He has only the body without arms and legs. What does he do? he can play football, he can play golf, he can swim, he can surf. See that? The brave 26-year-old who is mainly a torso plays football and golf, swims and surfs. This is he can do without arms and legs. Football, which is mainly played with legs. Golf, hands. Swimming, both arms and legs. Surfing, both arms and legs. But he could do even if he doesn't have those two. What made him that he can do? See, despite having no limbs, he could do that. Despite having no limbs, he could do that. He doesn't have arms, he doesn't have legs, but he can play football, he can play golf, he can swim, he can surf. That is what we are going to discuss here. See, Nick has small foot on his left hip which helps him balance and enables him to kick. He uses his one foot to type, write with a pen and pick things up between his toes. What he has, he doesn't have arms and legs, but he has a small foot on his left hip. What does he have? He has a small foot on his left hip, which he uses to type, write, to pick things up between his toes. Toes. The fingers of the foot are called toes. So with that small foot, which helps him to type, to write, that all he uses that one foot, only one foot. And he says, I call it my chicken drumstick joker name, who was born in Melbourne, Australia, but now lives in Los Angeles. I would be lost without it, he says. What does he call chicken drumstick? It is a nickname of his foot, a small foot he has. It looks like a chicken leg piece. That's why we call it a chicken drumstick. So here, he says, I would be lost without it. Underline. I would be lost without it. What does that it refer to? It refers to small foot. It refers to small foot there. So he doesn't worry about having no arms and legs. But he says, I would be lost. I am nothing without that foot, because I play football with that, I play golf with that, I swim with that, I surf with that, I write with that, I type with that. I do all these things. He does all the things which we do with our both arms and legs with only one small foot. That is his ability. So he says, I will be lost without it. So remember, water sports aren't Nick's only thing. Not only water sports, but skateboarding, surfing. Not only those. He also plays golf with clubs tucked under his chin, tucked. How golf is played? Both arms. He plays a golf stick tucked, keeping under his chin, and he plays them. And is a huge fan of English Premier League, which deals with football. So he is a huge fan of that, and he plays football. So what happened here? His parents decided not to send him to a special school. A decision he said was very hard for him, but which may have been the best decision they could have made for him. His parents decided not to send him to a special school. What does the special school mean here? A school for the disabled people, where all the disabled people are kept, will be learning in a school. So his parents decided not to send him there. And that decision, he said, was very hard for him. The decision of not sending him to a special school, or decision of sending him to a normal school, a decision, he said, was very hard for him, very much difficult for him. But that decision, not sending him to a special school, was the best decision his parents have made for him. That's what he says. If he was sent to a special school with other disabled people, like others, he could not have become such a famous person. That we need not discuss about. Right. So that's what he said. The decision of not sending him to a special school became the best decision that his parents made for him. That's what he tells here. And what happened? Another incident he says here. When Nick was born, his father was so shocked that he left the hospital room to vomit. His distraught mother couldn't bring herself to hold him until he was 4 months old. The eagerness, the enthusiasm of the parents completely burned into ash. They have been waiting for the new baby. But as soon as his father saw a baby with no arms and legs, he felt vomiting, a sensation of vomiting, and his mother so much worried. She could not touch him until he was 4 months old. People generally will be enthusiastic to hold their newborn babies. But here, his father felt a sensation of vomiting, shocked with that. Why this happened to us? His mother was so much worried that she could not touch until he was 4 months old. That such a feeling they had when he was born. What made? Why he was born without arms and legs? Let us see the next paragraph. His disability came without any medical explanation, a rare occurrence called phocomelia. What is that? Phocomelia. It's a rare occurrence. Nobody knows, even mother doesn't know why he was born like that. It's a rare occurrence, rarely happens. It is called phocomelia. And Nick and his parents spent many years asking why this cruel trick would happen to them. They have spent so many years. They have questioned themselves. They asked God in their minds why this cruel trick would happen to us. Why? What is the reason here? And he says here, look at, my mother was a nurse and she did everything right during her pregnancy, but she still blamed herself, he said. His mother was a nurse. Usually a nurse knows what are all the things that to take care during pregnancy. That's what he says. My mother was a nurse and she did everything right. Everything correct, right time during her pregnancy, but she still blamed herself because it is the responsibility of a mother to take care of baby during the pregnancy. She has to take the medicine in time. She has to follow the diet carefully, which is suggested by the doctors. That too, she was a nurse. She did everything right, but she still blamed herself. She said to herself, because of my negligence, because of me, I have done something wrong. And giving birth to my child in my pregnancy, I have done something wrong, so my baby is like that. So she blamed herself here. And then what happened? Another incident he says here. It was so hard for them, but right from the start, they did their best to make me independent. He says. It was so hard for them, but right from the start, they did their best to make me independent. It is very difficult to bring up a baby without arms and legs or simple normal babies. We need to take care of a lot, but that a baby without arms and legs, it was very hard for them. But he says they did their best to make me independent. What did they do? We are going to see all those things. What did they do to make him independent, to do his own works on himself? What are the things he did? They did. His father, his mother, we are going to see here. My dad put me in the water at 18 months and gave the courage to learn to swim. At 18 months, his father put him in the water to teach him swimming, to give him the courage that he can swim. That's what he learned, how he learned. 18 months old. I also got really into football and skateboarding. I totally loved the English Premier League, he says. So at 18 months, his father taught him how to swim. And what he did still, Nick's father was a computer programmer and accountant, and he taught his little son how to type with his toe at just 6 years old. His mom invented a special plastic device that meant that he could hold a pen and pencil. His father was a computer programmer. Boris Vujicic was a computer programmer and accountant, and he taught him how to type with his toes at just 6 years old. His mom invented him a special plastic device which he uses to catch or hold a pen and a pencil. So these are all the things that they did. What did they do? Still, see. Despite the risk of being bullied, his parents insisted on his attending mainstream school. It was the best decision they could have made for me, adds Snake, who later achieved a degree in financial planning and real estate. It was very hard, but it gave me independence. There was a risk of being bullied, being teased, that he was mocked by others, that he was bullied by others. But his parents insisted on, forced him to attend mainstream school, common school for all. They decided not to send him to a special school in the previous paragraph we see. Where did they decide to send him? To mainstream school, a common school for all the people. Even though there was a risk of being bullied there, even though there was a risk of teasing there, But that decision became the best decision. That decision could help him to complete his degree in financial planning and real estate, and that decision gave him the independence, the individuality he received. That's what his parents did. Nick, who was teased and bullied, had an electric wheelchair for mobility and a team of carers to help him. Who was teased and bullied? Where was he teased and bullied? In the school, with his friends. He had an electric wheelchair for his mobility for move. So these are all the things that his parents did. His father taught him swimming, how to type. His mother invented a plastic device. They decided not to send him to a special school. They decided to send him to a mainstream school where all normal children study. So that is what they did. So another incident he explains here. I was deeply depressed when I was 8 years old. He said, I went to my mom and I went to my mom crying and told her I wanted to kill myself. When he was 8 years old, he was deeply depressed. Why was he depressed? Looking at other children who were running, who were playing like he at his age. And he went to his mother and expressed his grief, expressed his depression that he wanted to kill himself. So that was the pressure he could. But what made him to become motivational speaker, we are going to see here. And one more reason he says, I felt cold and bitter. I hated God for doing this to me. What is that this? That he was not having no arms and legs. And was terrified of what would happen when my parents weren't there to look after me. He says, I hated God for doing this to me, for making me born without arms and legs. I was afraid and terrified that if my parents weren't there, where I would be. We see number of children begging on roads, begging outside. Why they are begging? We see number of children on the roadside, in the garbage bins, newborn babies. So that's what he says. If my parents weren't there, where I would be? What would happen to me? Why this God has done to me? He hated God for that. He cursed God for that. He scolded God for that. For making him to be born like that. And you see here. Apart from that, what he can do still, see here. I could brush my own teeth with a wall-mounted brush and wash my own hair with a pump action shovel. But there was so much that was impossible for me. He says, I could brush my own teeth with a wall-mounted brush and wash my own hair with a pump action soap. But there was so much that was impossible for me. Yes, I can brush with a wall-mounted brush. I can take bath with a pump action soap. But there was so many things that were there that was impossible for me. Can you imagine? Without arms and legs. His life, how he is going to lead. So these are all the views of Nick, opinions that he expressed in the daily mail. At age 10, Nick tried to drown himself in the bath, but luckily the attempt was unsuccessful. I felt there was no purpose. When you lack purpose and strength, it is hard to hold on, he said, but With the help of his religion and friends and family, Nick managed to pull through to become an international symbol of triumph over adversity. That is what he says here. Look here. At age 10, Nick tried to drown himself, to sink himself and die. Attempted suicide there, but it was a really unsuccessful attempt. Why did he attempt that suicide? He says, I felt there was no purpose. When you lack purpose and strength, it is hard to hold on. See that? There is no purpose of my creation. There is no purpose of my birth on this earth. When you lack purpose and strength, it is hard to hold on. It is hard to continue your life. When you don't have your goals, there is no purpose, there is no goal, there is no intention of my creation. Why God has given me this birth? I cannot do like others. I cannot walk like others. I cannot play like others. These are all thoughts that there is no purpose of me in my life in this earth. There is no reason for my birth on this earth. Why should I be alive? That's what he says. That's why he attempted suicide there. But what he says, with the help of his religion, what is his religion? Christianity. With the help of his religion and friends and family, his friends helped him. His religion helped him. His family helped him. We know how his family helped. They did their best to make him independent. Nick managed to pull through, continue to become an international symbol of triumph over adversity. He is a symbol of victory now. Triumph means victory. Symbol of triumph over adversity, over the difficulties. How to win, how to become a victor, how to win over the difficulties that we face in our life is short. With the help of his family members. That is what he became the motivational speaker, evangelist. His religion helped him, his friends helped him, his parents helped him. So with all that encouragement, he could stand as a symbol of winning, symbol of victory over the difficulties, over the adversity. Adversity means difficulties. And he says somewhere incident that when I was 13, I read a newspaper article about a disabled man who had managed to achieve great things and helped others, said Nick. When I was 13, when Nick was 13 years old, he read a newspaper article about another disabled man who was helping others. And he achieved great things and helped others. And when he read that newspaper article, when he was 13 years old, then he started thinking about it. If that man could do, why can't I? If that man can inspire others, if that man can inspire others, if that man can help others, why can't I? I also. Then he started thinking, what is the reason? What is the reason behind? What is the purpose of my creation on this earth? See the paragraph there. I realized why God had made us like this, to give hope to others. It was so inspirational to me that I decided to use my life to encourage other people and give them the courage that the article had given me. That when he read the newspaper article about a disabled man, If he could have, why can't I? So then he says, I realized why God had made us like this. To give hope to others. Why God, he realized it is the purpose of creating him like that. Why God has created, what did he realize? To give hope to others. Like the article